Right, so next we're going to hear from Radoslav Penchev. Where's Radoslav? Okay, could you just welcome on stage. So he's a blockchain advocate and a product owner at Propy. For those of you who don't know Propy, they did an ICO and initial coin offering last year. So he's been through the process. He can give you all the juicy details. And he'll be introducing the topic of token economics, or what we call tokenomics. How tokens within a decentralized system are used to incentivize various behaviors. So welcome, and do you have a presentation?
Yeah,
perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, so as the presenter said, my name is Radoslav, and I am the product owner and project manager at Propy. What he did not tell you is that I don't normally do this. On a daily basis, I'm surrounded by a team of 15 very talented software engineers and QAs and blockchain experts, and we're very hard at work building what we believe will be the next evolution in the global property investment industry. So please bear with me if I have to look at my notes. Today, I'll give you a brief overview into what is token economics, and I'll share with you a practical example of how we're designing our token economy. We'll be looking at how it compares to crypto economics, how we'll distribute our tokens, their usage, the actors, and the calculation and distribution of the fees and profits. So first, let's look at some definitions. Now, crypto economics, as defined by Block Geeks, is a formal discipline that studies protocols that govern the production, distribution and consumption of goods and services in a decentralized economy. Crypto economics is the practical science that focuses on the design and the characterization of these protocols. Now, comparing this to token economy, the rough definition is something like that. It's the internal economy of a blockchain-based company that's relying on the usage and the circulation of a dedicated ERC20 token. Now, an ERC20 token is also known as a utility token, and its idea is that it would be the fuel of a decentralized application. These tokens are limited and have a specified utility within their dedicated blockchain. And in most cases, they grant access to services. So the term crypto economics causes a lot of confusion in people. There's a notion that maybe there is a whole parallel version of economics, that has to do with crypto. And that is wrong. It's just economics. You have basic supply and demand rules that govern it. Circulation, you have basic supply and demand that govern it. Production needs to be incentivized, and circulation and scarcity will govern the prices and the changes in prices. It's not a subfield of economics, but rather it's an area of applied cryptography that takes economic incentives and economic theory into account. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Zcash, and all other public blockchains are basically just products of crypto economics. So comparing this again to token economy. A token economy is basically created by an ICO or an initial coin offering. In the ICO, the tokens are issued and distributed. You're still governed by supply and demand. Price is still mandated by circulation and scarcity, but the production mechanism is different. In most cases, there's no miners. The tokens that are issued on the ICO, and there's a set amount, and usually from the beginning, the companies say how they're going to distribute them. So in the end, we circle back to the same old rule of supply versus demand. And today I'll guide you through our token economics model based on the supply and demand rule. We'll look at token distribution, usage, actors, fee calculation, and profit distribution. So the supply side of our economy is basically how we will distribute the tokens. And this was something that we envisioned and decided as early as our white paper, even before the ICO. We issued 100 million pro tokens. There will never be more than those. 35 million of those tokens were allocated for the token sale pool or the initial coin offering. Those were sold in order to get funding for us to build what we want to build. Another 35 million is allocated to the network growth pool. Now, this will be distributed as rewards for users, for title miners. Those are the people who will help us get as many properties as we can on our decentralized registry that we're building, because you cannot have a property marketplace without properties in it. And also other contributors. The remaining 30 million tokens we split in half. 15 million we are leaving aside for donations. We're going to give them to other organizations that develop the blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain. Companies that deal with scaling and security and other things like that, because those people will help us grow. If we help them, they'll help us. And the remaining 15 million we left for developing the company, as for salaries and rent and everything. So this is the supply side of our economy. The next thing we had to think about was demand. We have a utility token. It has to be used. Why will people want to use it? And what we came up to, we tried to keep it simple, is basically that the core of everything will be the transaction fees. You have to pay fees to unlock the property payment of the transaction, and it's going to be entirely blockchain based. What we're trying to do is allowing people to buy a property solely on the blockchain. Everything from expressing your interest to making first contact to uploading documents, signing them, having those documents notarized, doing your payments, everything up to the transfer of ownership, and soon we'll be able to even transfer ownership via blockchain. So for all of those actions, we'll be taking transaction fees, and those transaction fees will be in Pro tokens. We'll also be taking Pro tokens as payment for the blockchain transaction costs. That's the so-called gas money. Because our records and the transactions will be happening on the blockchain, we need to make records for every step, every document uploaded, every signature, every movement, and that costs money. Well, it costs Ethereum. So that's another part of the demand. And finally, we'll be using them as incentive for sharing properties and referrals and bringing more people to the system. And in the end, when we settle into a more stable version of our economy, we'll be using the Pro token as payment for registering your title deeds, or basically the document for ownership of your property, to our registry fee. So this covers the demand. So we have supply and demand, but we still need people that would want to take part. So we had to think about who will those people be. And of course, we'll have the platform users, sellers and buyers of homes who want to use the blockchain. They'll be paying for access, as I mentioned in the previous slide. And they'll be incentivized, we hope so, mainly by our key value proposition. Buy a property via blockchain. You can be in your home here and buy a property in California. And without the blockchain, you're going to have to go there and spend 2 months doing all the documents and payments and everything. Right now, you can do 90% of the transaction from here, from your couch. You're probably just going to have to go there to sign the final documents and take your deed. So our key value proposition is what we hope will bring the main actors, the platform users. But of course, we also have some rewards that are set aside to incentivize people to use the system. The other actors, and very important, especially in the beginning, will be the title miners. Those will be brokers and regular people that are doing crypto mining, and basically everybody who wants to transfer property ownership deeds to our decentralized registry. It's basically a form of crowdsourcing what we need. And we'll be paying them per recorded title. And it's very important for 2 reasons. One, to expand our marketplace so we have more things to offer, more properties. But more importantly, as our decentralized registry grows, will be more attractive to governments. They're the final actor and the final piece of the puzzle, and they're very important. Because if we don't get the governments on board, we'll probably have a hard time selling properties. Governments need to adopt our title registry as legal, and they need to recognize that transactions that happen on it are secure and they have actual value. Right now, we're working with a couple of states and a couple of governments to adopt our registry, and I'm happy to announce that the government of Vermont has already signed an agreement with us. We'll build a title registry for them that's blockchain-based, and it will run side by side with their regular registry of properties. And in X amount of years, they can decide if they're going to move to it or not. So those are the actors of our system as we see it right now. So what's left? We have to think about fees and how we calculate them. And we decided to start off very simple, not to over-engineer it. We're going to have a registry fee that will be for recording a title to the blockchain. It's going to be $1 to $10 based on the property, and of course it's going to cover the gas price, the money for recording your action or your transaction to the blockchain. Our other fee, and that will be the main profit generation, will be the transaction fee for property purchase. It will be flat at first, and I'll show you a table. But in the future, there'll be a normalizing formula for it that takes into account the most important economic factors that will govern what is a fair price. We're working to develop this now. I think we're pretty close, but not close enough for me to show you the final version. So this will be how we charge transaction fees. It's very simple. Based on the price of your property, we charge you that amount of pro tokens plus the price of gas. This is where we make profit, and we need those profits for numerous reasons: develop our system, help develop the blockchain, and so on. So, last but not least, it's very important to figure out how we're going to distribute our fees, our profits, what we're going to do with them. And we decided that we're going to leave 1/3 of them in the company pool, paying salaries, getting new developers, rent, and so on. And the other 2/3 we're going to leave in the network growth pool. Those profits will be used to incentivize new users to come on board, to make sure that we keep getting miners and titles, and to work hard to bring the governments in. So in the next maybe 2, 5, even 10 years, 2/3 of the registry fees will always go to the network growth pool. So as you can see, it's not that complex. You don't have to over-engineer a token economy. You have to make sure that it has actual use and value. And in our example, in our case, we've tried to keep it as simple as possible. So in conclusion, token economy is no joke. A lot of companies, they use utility tokens for getting capital, but if you truly want to be a blockchain-based company, it's important. Your token has to hold value, and it has to make sense. And my advice is not to over-engineer it at first. Make it sound, make it foolproof, and then build on top of that. And the utility token, as I said, it's not for generating funds. It's the lifeblood of a decentralized application, and being that, it needs to flow. And that's all I have for you. Thank you very much. And we have a Q&A now.
Thank you for that presentation. I have to say this is the first speaker to stay within the allotted time, so thank you very much. Well done. Let's get a couple of questions from the audience. Raise your hand up high so we can see you. Yes, sir.
Whole process here. How do you approach tax? Every transaction with property has to be taxed. Is it paid with tokens, or your users will pay it separately?
You mean the tax for transferring the
property
ownership.
transfers, yeah.
Yes. So in the beginning, they'll be part of the price of the property, because we're also going to have the title companies be part of the transaction process. We're not going to leave them out. We're going to have them part of the transaction, and the taxes will be part of the price, so they'll take them out, you know, before they transfer ownership. Ideally, in the future, we'll have this as part of our transaction too, but that depends on jurisdictions. Anyone else?
Yeah, excellent point. I mean, I can tell you in the UK, when you buy property, by law, it has to be written on paper. So jurisdiction is very important, especially for real estate.
Yeah, it is. We have a partnering company that allows us to provide users the opportunity to digitally sign documents, and at least in the States, this is recognized as legal. A person, when they buy a property on our system, there's lots of documents that need to be uploaded and signed by certain people, and we've managed to build a solution that allows them to upload a document and choose specific spots where somebody can sign. And then the person can put their signature by touch screen or with a pad or even with their mouse just drawing on the screen. And then those documents are actually recognized as legal in the States, for example. So we've covered that as well.
Cool. We have time for one more quick question. Anything pressing? Otherwise, you can...
Yes.
Yes.
Nice speech. I see that you have an MVP on your website. Is it working under the blockchain or it's stored in a cloud system right now?
The website?
The MVP.
Okay, so the website itself is not on the blockchain. Our transaction tool is on the blockchain.
I see that you list properties over there and people can actually buy or at least simulate the buy process. I'm asking about the process itself. It's working under the blockchain or
yes,
it's not?
The process is working on the blockchain. As soon as you get in touch with the seller and you agree on a price and you actually start the transaction, the process begins on the blockchain. From the first step where you invite everybody who needs to be in there to the last step.
I'm asking this because I haven't seen your smart contract for this process. I see that I only see the token contract and the crowd sale contract, and that's why I'm asking this.
So presumably on your website you have a demo, right? When people use that demo, are they interacting with a blockchain or is that just mock-up on the website?
Oh, you mean a sandbox? We don't have a sandbox on our website. But right now, if you go to our website and you like a property in, say, San Francisco, you can actually start a transaction and it will go on the blockchain. We have a minimum viable product that's working.
Okay, on the mainnet, on the main
on the
Ethereum
mainnet.
network. Okay,
yes.
Well. So I
and
guess
hopefully
later
we'll have some big news soon.
Yeah, you can point out which contracts it's using, so we can.
Of course, yeah. Even better, come to me after this, give me your email, and I'll make sure you get this, because you know it's blockchain. Everybody should be able to see it, and all of our blockchain technology will be open source. So just come to me afterwards, and we'll make it happen.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.